Doing great, Bucket. Thanks so much. It's been an interesting day. Obviously, a quick start followed up by maybe an instant classic in the last, but it's our Monster Energy matchup, and the players are ready to go here. Andy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty darn skippy to be back on the CDL with you, brother. I mean, between these two teams, I think that's something wonky has to happen for either of these two teams to miss out on champs, but seeding, points, everything else in between is going to matter so much between these two.
And of course, with the locale of Seattle's last major win coming up, it's about time we see them try to break through the mold of that top 8 that you just had in Columbus and a chance to get their first major win, whereas, of course, Toronto is looking to pump up the fans as they get ready to go for their own home major. And it starts with a key matchup here. I think the biggest thing, we've said it enough, both teams looking comfortable for things like playoffs, but a grudge match in certain regards. We've got Ultra, we've got Seattle Surge, it's the Monster Energy matchup. Let's get it on.
Hotel Hardpoint has been quite favorable for Toronto across the entirety of the Modern Warfare 2 year, coming to this bad boy 13-9, starting off on the favorite side of the map, though it might not mean too much. Still a lot of time to fight for here for one, but you're going to be looking towards the usual suspects just to pick things up when it matters the most towards the end of the year. CleanX, Hixie need to have a good one here.
Well, so far, things looking solid for Toronto as they get Seattle off the hard point very early, and they're finding a lot of key kills on the backside of this hill, locking down the potential rotation over towards 2, and actually putting Seattle in a bit of a pocket here. I mean, they're all spawning up towards Restaurant, and Toronto's ready for this.
Yeah, I mean, the setup is just so golden. You can keep CleanX inside the hill for a very long time, and so long as trades can still continuously come through, Toronto Ultra mainly maintain the spawns around the back, but the avenue from those restaurant spawns have found a couple Seattle players in the back, too.
Insight in a little bit of trouble. He's got Sid from the front, 2 different Surge members in the backside. But oh, how about this? Scrap picks up the back. They just need to find Mac, who has been scouted out. Just comes down to, can you get a mission to actually deny him? Because Seattle's actually still spawning pretty close. Here comes their next break attempt in a tie game. Nice solid start for Insight on 3 in a row. Turns his attention back towards Sid. But the double allows a chance for Surge to work their way back in.
And north to south spawns. You got north spots coming through from Seattle over by the chandelier. South spawns down over in the spot. So it's just a foot race to see you can get the reinforcements here in a kill feed that is just going pinstripe across the board. Still, a lot more players for Toronto spawning in towards the back. This one not done being fought over yet.
Accuracy trying to fight their way in with this last 23 seconds on the way, but Toronto will eventually get through the chaos, and that should lock in the better part of the last 20 seconds with the scrap time. Seattle going to default to playing for rotation, but they're actually giving up a lot of space here on exit. Toronto's going to have a lot of room to work with when they get off too.
It's also a lot of question marks about where some of these players might be lurking at. Are they going to be expecting that the majority of this defense for this upcoming rotation is all on the west side of the map? Max on an island by himself, and the restaurant hit is coming through.
Oh, Hixie opening. Oh my goodness, Hixie flies on it. Didn't have a lot of support, but that's what Charlie Hixie does. Just be a playmaker. He may not have the sexiest stat lines sitting at 0.8 or pretty much across the board, but when he's making plays like that, you know his team's going to be giving him a nice little clap on the back. 60-35 the tally, and Toronto gets the early break. Still 40 seconds to fight. Surge trying to put their way back in, but no, denied through Freezer. Mac, the last one left. He does get the first, but a lot more to deal with. And hold on a second. He does take down 2, but Toronto ultimately will hold.
Yeah, not enough to be able to flood the spawns and be a one-man wrecking crew, which we have seen Mac do in the past, but has kind of fell a little bit short on that stature, especially through the season. So difficult to do, but the teammates are there to arrive. Seattle for the late break for this scrap time. It's just 15 seconds that they're going to be battling over. The Seattle Surge are trying to win this on 2 different fronts. You got players trying to soak up the scrap time, players on the rotation, but nobody was expecting CleanX to hit through the statue lobby the way that he did. A clean kill feed comes through for Toronto ahead of the rotation for 4.
Both teams just flying right now. Tempo is up as Toronto will open up the bar, but Seattle does have the spawns in the back, plus Pred working through mid, denied by Insight. Now it's just down to, can you bunker behind these little headies and hold on to the hard point? And so far, yes is the answer. Scrap keeping his life with a trophy system to help him out. A second one gets placed. Sid trying to get into contest, but he doesn't have a look at a gunfight. Predator on the back only gets 1. The trade is good. Hardpoint goes neutral for now. Status of the spawns remain the same. Seattle a chance to reinforce just a bit faster, but you still have Toronto Ultra members on the hardpoint and in great positions to get a read on this. The kills are coming. They're coming quickly. Toronto looking good for the majority of time here at bar.
Seattle have no entry whatsoever. Look at Insight and Scrap, a combined 26 kills between the 2 ARs of Toronto, and allows Hixie and CleanX to constantly get in these very annoying positions to walk into crossfires. Has been Seattle's line of sight for the majority of the past 2 hardpoints, realistically. Leading by about 60 now are Toronto Ultra, and wouldn't you know it, they also have the rotation to nuke.
Oh, CleanX is trying to bump the new hard point, but he gets shut down. A chance here for Seattle, a little 4v2 for the new time. kills looking really clean. Hixie only gets one, so the Surge find their way onto the hard point with relative ease. Scrap challenged back hallway, but no, not today. Trophy system to keep him alive as the rest of Ultra start to make their play through rugs. Trades coming out nicely, and how about it from Kleenex and Hixie? They're gonna get 3 and immediately flip the hill.
A scrap for the entry. The SMGs could just come flying in soon after. It's a recipe for success, and that name is written by Toronto Ultra. So have Seattle Surge wanting to fight over this 25 seconds. It's kind of a big one at that. Look at where accuracy is on the map as well. This is what we like to call a money rotation. You can somehow find your way to set yourself up for P6 off of P5. Toronto Ultra are going to blow this lead wide open. That's why you're seeing Seattle put a heavy focus for the scrap time to back up accuracy ahead of the rotation towards new.
I mean, Toronto is flying, and now we can confirm they are flying. It's a little bit of both at the moment. Scrap gonna hop up. Accuracy's early rotation ultimately denied right as soon as the hard point starts to open. Seattle with a little bit of pressure, though. Mac and Pred kind of clearing opposite sides of this garage area. Mac trying to lock down everything through mid, but realizes he's going to need a little bit of help here, and Pred will provide that. So nice little double up top, creates some vacancy for Mac to continue to play forward, and all of a sudden, Toronto's a bit on the back foot here, trying to break into roofs.
You have Mac still trying to cause a little more space, has some nice timing the backside of the pool, but he's down to 1 HP. He's trapped between a handful of members, but just because you're trapped over here doesn't mean that you are the trappies if you are Ultra. Mac creating a lot of space and chaos. He'll still come through. They got Lamar off the point for the time being, but reinforcements for Seattle Surge right around the corner. This has been a very successful P6 for them.
Red trying to clear out the back, just completely bamboozles insight. So numbers on the time looking good for Toronto, but ultimately Seattle feel pretty, I would say, happy and content about what has happened here on this final hard point of the rotation. Mac tested, though, as he continues to try to play for scrap, and that now all of a sudden puts the shoe on the opposite table, which has turned. Ultra in a good position. Seattle needing to bounce back. Take a second to see how they're calming with those Seattle listening.
I'm gonna pinch. I'm gonna pinch.
I'm gonna give you
Couches. I'm gonna pinch. Give me 2 seconds.
couches, absolutely.
Right side square. Give me 2 seconds.
One shot top cat and one shot square. Bottom couches, backside couches.
One side on me. Back kitch. Back kitch. Clean. Back kitch. Clean.
I need a couch.
Top cat. Clean next kitchen. I need help.
Couches. One couch. Hurry up.
Any couches?
Couches dead. Nice shot. Wow. Square. Nice. The 3.
I got on.
You going through? Yeah, con. He's gonna go down.
One. He went through.
Con it up.
He's just sitting on the left.
2-1.
One absolute. Scraps on you.
One. Con blocking you.
Okay. Try contest a little. I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to the back.
I got the back. One's art, guys. One's art. Art. Absolute free, guys. He's in the corner in there. He's stuck.
Dead.
I'm running away. I'm gonna put you
left. You have to take your time, Dante. You have to take your time.
Okay.
I'm blocking.
They're going left to me. Pop it, I think.
I don't have red door. I'm playing the broken.
Okay, I'm blocking.
I'm sitting ball right now. I think one's to the left.
They're DR, guys. They're DR. They're working the shit.
You on you.
I'm coming pond.
One shot. You can be red door on one shot.
Ball, dead.
Red door wall.
Dead. I'm pushing out curve.
Stay down. Make sure we block the back.
They're in the back. They're pond. One's in the ambulance.
He's in the blue dash right.
Take your pond and one blue.
Broken hole. He jumped out in pond.
He's on the right side of the car.
We spawned up.
I'm here. He's on the car in the back. Okay.
I'm gonna hit this, bro.
I'm waiting for you guys.
Everybody's fucking clock, bro.
Absolute pond.
One's gonna be curve. Okay, one's gonna be curve as well.
He hasn't pushed curve yet. Dior
spawned in the back. I spawned in the back.
Dior, fuck. Dior, one shot. One's in
in.
Whoever hopped up broken, he's there.
Make sure we get you.
I got one hold.
We have to hold. I spawned.
As Seattle desperately trying to hang on, but man, I'll tell you, just watching the action for Toronto, it just feels like they've got 5 members on the map at times. People sneaking through, multiple hits coming with numbers from the front. It just feels like Seattle, despite their best efforts, just can't quite get a grip on where Toronto's hitting from.
I mean, it was such a great effort at that 4P2. You even heard accuracy in the comms, kind of the general for the Seattle Surge team. He was anchoring the spawns, trying to get players in position to try to keep these players at bay. But Kleenex is still on this spree. He was the sole reason why Toronto were even able to get behind P2. Finally, the spree gets put to rest. Cruise missile in his back pocket. Kleenex leading the charge. Toronto Ultra looking to close it out in the upcoming few hills.
It's just the small advantages that Toronto have found, hill to hill, rotation to rotation, has ultimately led to a position where Seattle's just having a real tough time finding any advantages across the map. Lots of moments where they have to break setups, be perfect on rotation, and, well, finally, we may be getting an opportunity to really witness that in full. 20 seconds of scrap time looks like it's going to be conceded here by Toronto as they turn tail and run back towards bar, looking for win condition there. accuracy there to meet them, but the first shot's not quite able to land. Hixie clears out the space, has more in front of him. Mac in the corner almost gets the second, but an opportunity with that elimination for Seattle to try to rotate.
And when condition is set for Toronto Ultra with his leader's advantage, 215 to 168, just chalk it, rotate, set yourself up in the middle of the map. Player to watch out for could be Hixie. He's setting himself up for a flank all the way through the middle of the map. Gets scouted out by Civ, so numbers might be dwindling here for Toronto Ultra, but they gotta get past the beam that is Insight.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. With Insight's shooting like this, you can see why Toronto loved this map mode combo. Hixie from behind may have just put this map out of reach. 237, 168. Insight still checking every single corner. Kleenex finding the eliminations up front, and that allows Insight just to continue to go from killing spree to killing spree. No chance here for Seattle to touch, and Toronto on one of their flagship hardpoint maps continue to show us why exactly you just don't want to play these guys on Hotel.
Yeah, I mean, it's even more interesting for Seattle's specific reasoning for the first time that they saw each other. This was in the map set, and Seattle also lost it. So they let the Hotel hardpoint come through, and maybe they might have thought that they would have been able to stand a better chance, but I mean, if it was the SMGs early on just completely belittling the front line of the Seattle Surge members, it was consistency out of the ARs. 28 and 20 for Scrap. Insight 27 and 18.
Yeah.
Only had 7 of those kills were traded, by the way. But look at all the engagements that Kleenex was able to pick up off of that damage coming through the ARs. 3K damage, 29 and 21. Yeah, I'll take that SMG to go.
50 engagements, are you kidding me? I mean, it's just,
bro,
when the subs are flying like this, that's when you start to look at this Toronto Ultra team and say they can compete for a major championship.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen it once already this season, but getting into the late stages, how do you combat against the LA Thieves and Optic Texas and even your Atlantas that are out there? It's moments like this where you've got great lockdown from your ARs and your sub players are running fearlessly in towards these tight hard points. And it's not even just that they're running in. They're finding so many continual entries that's leading to either convincing breaks or, more importantly, what we often saw here in this map was the ability to kind of bump out of the hard point once they had this setup and make Seattle spawn in the complete worst position possible.
As we go through all these highlights, I urge you all at home, if you're questioning how Ultra had so much success on breaking all of these setups for Seattle Surge, always ask yourself, where's player number 4 on the minimap? Because Kleenex was just never caught in the net. He always slipped right past the defensive lineup for Seattle Surge. It was just making an absolute nuisance of their backline. But again, that is the reason that you are also looking for the success that is the AR line as well. You brought up Hixie. I mean, all 4 corners of this Toronto Ultra team were so squeaky clean on this Hotel map number 1. Seattle Surge, whether it was pacing early on, trying to continuously deal with the ARs to even get their SMGs in and or around the hill, it would just never arrive.
Yeah, it was speed and tempo early, which kind of led you to believe that maybe Seattle can kind of find an advantage early on. But yeah, the patterns and trends definitely led to Toronto winning on rotation and finding just better setups, whether that's on their initial holds or in particular getting a good early look towards breaking. But now we go to an Embassy search and destroy. I'm not saying that this is a weird or peculiar map selection, but it is not necessarily the most played search for a team like Toronto. So I think we kind of all of a sudden shift the conversation back to the Seattle Surge roster, who has improved so much since the beginning of the year in the search and destroy.
Yeah, I mean, specifically just even online, on land, their search and destroy has become night and day. It's almost what you can expect out of them so late in the season. But I mean, as far as Ultra are concerned, they need to have an immediate turnaround for their search and destroy. Let's not forget, throughout season 4 or stage 4 qualifiers, these guys only went 1 and 4 for quals. They went 1 and 7 overall for search and destroy. And you almost expect that this 4-player roster can piece things together here at the final stretch.
Yeah, and that is a beautiful segue into the first point of our Monster Energy pregame, to figure out the search and destroy. I mean, their respawn has been so polished, and a lot of that comes with that tempo and speed that we continue to talk about. But in search and destroy, it almost feels like it's a bit disjointed at times, and that's going to be tested here, especially on the Embassy. But following through that, it's not even the fact that these guys are great at respawn, it's where they are finding the success. And just to kind of remimic that same point we were just mentioning about their ability to win on rotation is the best in the league. That's, again, getting them perfect opening setups towards holding hills or being in a position to break. On the other side for Seattle, it's all about just trying to keep doing what you're doing, I think, because there's been a lot of questions about this roster, but the improvements have definitely started to show.
Yep, and their Monster Energy pregame will be just around some players that need to find a semblance of consistency. It always feels like that either Mac or Accuracy, when they're going off, this team does so well. They need to play well in this series. Seattle's record when at least one positive are 14-5, comparatively when they're negative, 3-11. And that may be a great band, but it's not a great stat line when it comes to series victories. Limit the bomb plants and search and destroy. They cannot just always rely on their retakes. So many times and so many woes early on in their season was just because they gave up so much space on the bomb site. But Seattle on the up and up. Again, it almost feels like that it's inevitability at the end of the season for this team to potentially find new strides.
And I love that last point, the little foreshadow about what's to come after this search and destroy. The hotel control. Both teams love it. However, Toronto loves it a little bit more. They've beaten Seattle in both of their previous series with that map mode combo in the mix. More on that later. Let that kind of marinate you up there, friends, as we look at the overall records. And I think the biggest thing about that Seattle statistic when it comes to getting off to the start that they want to see, it has to be by trying to eliminate Toronto early in these rounds. Not necessarily just winning a first blood and coming out, 4v3, but just doing better in the first blood engagements than we had seen in the past.
Yeah. Last time that Seattle played an Embassy Search and Destroy was the 21st of April versus LAG. They won it 6-4. Take that stock as you will at this moment in time. But for Seattle, gonna need some players to really showcase what they got. Sib is definitely the player to watch out with the boomstick. Can definitely make the hurt come Toronto Ultra's way.
That opening nade actually doesn't quite get all the way to the trucks. So a chance for Sib to still clear this angle. Opposite side of the map, Accuracy gets a first blood onto Kleenex that looks to be up top towards server. So now all of a sudden, Hixie's kind of stuck here. He's got the choice of, well, maybe moving in towards bathroom, but a beautiful stun check for Seattle. They will absolutely know that Hixie's playing somewhere in the middle of the map.
Oh, Hixie, he's actually maybe got an audio cue on a Pred, something. He's going to get that kill and get away with his life. On the other side, Scrap with the boomstick takes down Accuracy. It was looking so good for Seattle. Oh, now finds himself in a man disadvantage.
Scrap still watching over the top. Mac has kind of snuck through, but Insight very privy to the play. Reduces it now just to Sib. 1v3, sniper in hand. May catch a look at Insight if he checks this corner. I mean, of course, we're all looking at him. He's bright purple on our map. And yeah, I think he does get a call from a teammate, but it's only a hit marker. Now to the pistol, not going to work out. Hixie stays alive mid-map, comes away with 2 kills in the round, and Toronto bounce back after the first blood goes against them.
Pred's going to be pretty frustrated about that again. You almost felt like that Hixie was dead to rights, especially with where he was positioned at. Round 1, Search and Destroy on Embassy. Note that silence to push all the way through the middle of the map inside of those hallways. You're kind of just relying on either a teammate to overwatch you or maybe just a nice little audio cue to come through for Hixie to find that first blood. From there on out, it was just finding where the trades were going to be coming from, of which it was all picture perfect for Toronto Ultra, negating so much map from Seattle.
Yep. And that was elimination early, by the way, from Hixie. If he doesn't get that, the round looks very different. And it likely turns into a Seattle win, but not in this universe. Seattle on their first defense, looking for aggression over towards side. Toronto's here. Shots are tagging, but no kills coming through as of yet. Finally, a Semtex lands, and keep your eye on Accuracy. After that Semtex, he is pushed behind offensive Toronto, who now all of a sudden do not have a bomb carrier and are kind of stuck looking and hoping they can find a couple of free picks. But this is a very tough 2v4, and Accuracy will pretty much put this one out of reach, leaving Scrap down to a 1v everybody.
Yep, and he shows his position, top paper. I mean, I guess if there's anybody that might have that clutch gene, any one of these 4 players, honestly, for Ultra, but it might as well be Scrap. That's a tough gunfight. Whether you look at it, that's a head clutch and a half over there. But yeah, I think that you're gonna have to take a good shout for Accuracy, like you were talking about. I mean, the majority of this hit, once Civ chows out top servers, he sees so much information, so many bullet tracers, nades, whatever may have you, that Accuracy as the main defender of that A bomb has dead silence in that round. So he pushes all across that lane, and he gets behind enemy lines and just makes them even further trapped after the first blood came through.
And that's the proactivity that really led to Seattle turning around their search and destroy this season. Because like we mentioned, first 2 qualifiers, I mean, they went on a losing streak in search, and it just felt like they were reacting, trying to receive everything. Now looking to get aggressive as 2 players dive over towards the B site. Opening trade comes through. Hixie feels like he's got a chance to turn the tides, though, as Mac is caught not in a chance to plant. Still holds his life, though, but unfortunately did not expect Hixie, who continues to be menaced through mid. Now looking for more onto Sib, but this time Sib does not have the sniper rifle, and that turns us into a 2v2 early.
Scrap might be able to find a weapon around one of these corpses. Right now he's working with the X12 and the SPX-80, so Regis angle to hold this close. He's going to get shot in the side by Sib, nearly escapes with his life. But the biggest problem still remains. That bomb is dropped in a very precarious spot.
And Insight cannot drop up here. Sib is on the way. Accuracy pops dead silence. He's trying to make sure he stays away from Scrap. But it's all about this contact right here. Insight, just inside of the staircase. Sib saying, where did you go? Little Where's Waldo coming through. And Sib, the trophy carrier, surely has made a couple of footstep sounds. Insight plays patiently. Checks, finds the kill before the bomb can get planted. And now Accuracy having a little tango with Scrap at range, which is not one that you'd advise against the sniper rifle. Toronto take the second round.
Pretty confident, especially with Accuracy utilizing his dead silence in the round previous. Both of your ARs here for Seattle Surge were playing with trophy systems, so it just mostly comes down to taking these very egregious timings and finding the gunfights and just getting the better of Toronto Ultra in that moment of time. But hey, that's the gamble, isn't it? You try to send yourself over towards the B bomb site like that, you get the information, you get trapped from players over inside a sign across over by Xbox with Scrap holding that angle with the sniper rifle. It's just information that Toronto Ultra gobble up and shut you down before the bomb can even think about getting planted.
Important to note, through 3 early here, no kills for Pred. He is the usual king of first bloods for Seattle and also their KD leader, so need to see something out of him. As Toronto will make their way to B, get the plant. Sid misses the opening shot. Here comes the charge from Kleenex. No worries there. Pred, though, a little push through of his own, nearly gets the long-range shots for a second off the reload, tested by Scrap, and okay, all of a sudden, kills get traded back and forth. We get to a 2v2. Problem here is the post-plant positioning for Hixie is one that you're not going to be able to sniff out. Seattle will take care of Kleenex, though. Chance to still move quickly, but boy, they need to move quickly. Just comes down to the question of when does Hixie check for this possible defuse. Mac will hop. Has to go soon. Does he have an angle at it? No, he doesn't. Not quite, but still gets the toe tags. Gets away in time. Will become the ultimate enemy. Pred has to try to hop it, but no chance for him to hold. And Toronto will see a quote-unquote clutch from Hixie come through to get to their third.
Yeah, no, it's a clutch any which way you look at it. Just really smart search and destroy being exemplified by Hixie. I mean, you're in a 1v2. Obviously, you know you have to play against the clock, check it when it feels necessary to do so. And that bomb being planted on the opposite side is very, very tough for Seattle because the way that they were trying to set themselves up, especially for the post plant, probably not expecting Hixie to be all the way back over by AC. You can't really fault Seattle Surge. I mean, they had to clear all of admin just to make sure that that clutch spot was at least covered. Toronto Ultra gonna take a 2-round lead here in the search.
Small margins between these two, though. Tons of nades for Toronto, littering the tennis courts. Seattle threw maybe a couple of their own, but has backed off of this initial play, and Hixie will get caught trying to get aggressive. But will you expect Insight to maybe make the same route happen? May not matter. Kills on the other side of the map turn up all in favor of the Surge. That's going to lead to Mac hopping for a pretty quick plant here. Kleenex maybe a chance to contest, but as Mac gets the plant, the exit is on, and Kleenex gets traded. It all falls to Insight for the 1v2.
Good cover. Accuracy needs to stay alive up here. Insight throws some shots his way. Top admin, 1v2, gets the gunfight versus Pred. No shot, no dice. Seattle Surge answered back with an offensive round of their own, and pretty standardized at that. I mean, like you were talking about, if there was a player maybe to try to blow that up sooner rather than later, it could have potentially been Insight, even with Scrap finding that cracking shot with the sniper. You just don't really have the resources nor the time to try to maneuver your way top admin when you're hearing so many different audio cues and the bomb being planted the way that it was. Kleenex may have found the trade, but Seattle Surge's pretty standardized setup allowed them to find the exits.
Yeah, really good manipulation for Seattle Surge, kind of answering with a little chess move of their own. And well, as we jump into round 6, important to mention that Pred started 0-3, now 4-3 in the last couple of rounds. Sib looking for maybe a tough angle on this scope. Not going to see anyone on this initial cross. The rest of Seattle, I mean, look at this play. They're all pushing through admin. Toronto's split here, though. They're allowing Seattle to come through around the back. Just comes down to will they actually make the contact they need to win the gunfights. Pred, surprising Insight, now forces a really tough position for Scrap, who needs to hold his ground and also look over the top of this bomb plant. Pred, oh, careful, brother. That's your teammate. Takes a couple of shots, Accuracy looking for the trade, but Scrap provides the kills needed, and Sid can't quite get back towards the bomb. A beautiful breakdown by Toronto and that little 2-2 split up that they hit over towards B.
Yeah, you're going to feel rather puzzled when you're Seattle Surge to go back and you rewatch that round unfold, because like you were talking about, it's a very, very split north side of the map there on Embassy. 2 players around admin. You had 2 players that pushed up the SMGs of Ultra over by that B bomb site. And all Sib saw was the hindquarters of at least 1 Ultra player over by Pots. Only got the hit marker, was not expecting 2 players to be up close there on the B bomb site itself. That caused a certain amount of disjointment once Pred got over towards that side of the map.
Big round here for Seattle. What's the call? After the passive previous offense, they're going to do the exact same thing. Throw a lot of nades deep towards B, then back off. This time, though, Toronto are trying to pull that same double stack through mid. Scrap dropping towards the backside of B, though, does create a bit of an opening here for Seattle to try to work the bomb forward if they want to, and Pred very wisely cuts off that bottom bathroom position. So now Toronto down to some desperation. Kleenex pops the doors, doesn't see the plant from Mac. This is gonna feel familiar though, sees the toes, and accuracy provides the oversight needed. Insight, last one left, tag down to 4 HP, and Seattle's little bait and switch, so to speak, works out for them this time as they bring it back, at least to relatively marginal terms.
I mean, it just works out 2 times over again. I mean, Mac can feel the comfort to plant the bomb continuously so long as accuracy is always top admin like that. He's watching top servers, top AC, whatever you decide to call it. Kleenex isn't there originally to try to push for it. And even if Kleenex finds the exit, you saw what happened to their previous offense. Accuracy will find the trade. He gets beamed by Inside, but it doesn't matter when he's the last player alive just to get swarmed by the remaining Surge members. This is really good adaptations that are starting to come through for Seattle Surge. And you talk about Pred, again, he's up to 7-4 off that 0-3 start.
Lots of trust that Pred could follow back, but accuracy at 9-5, as you mentioned, continues to be the lifeline for a lot of these Seattle offenses. Can they get things going here defensively, though, to get us back to a 4-4? Kleenex has already made his way over towards the B site. Pred in a little bit of danger, but has an exit, if only just barely. And he's a little stuck at the moment. I mean, nades are coming through. Toronto's looking for the isolation onto Pred, but he's fully healthy and may actually surprise Scrap Top Paper, but he doesn't check it all. The timing there could have been everything. Pred will still flush out top office, and that's going to be good, at least for an attempt to deny this initial plan if Toronto commit to getting to B.
Pred's hearing some footsteps below him, but we can hear, I'm sure that Pred hears it as well. Kleenex push all the way up towards the bomb site, still finds that kill on the Mac, but now Pred will pounce. Knows that Scrap's top paper doesn't win the gunfight, 2v1.
Sib just going to gamble that this is eventually going to come over towards B. Trophy at the ready, bomb collected, and it's making a quick rotation through A with support from Scrap at mid. And Scrap's play is fully dead silent. So Sib has got a lot of things to do, and yeah, Scrap's heard him. There's the shots, very well done by Toronto, dealing with that little Seattle cheeky play to get in through admin, and then just getting the call that, okay, Sib's playing topside B. We know that. Let's make this quick wrap.
Yeah. Mostly also just dealing with accuracy, who again, like we were talking about, has just been such a massive threat, not even just for kills, but also damage per round as well. I mean, this guy is just layering in the hurt for Ultra, but once you end up finding out that Pred is up top, even if he did find that kill over towards the B bomb site itself, like you said there, Alan, it's just nobody checked inside of paper for Pred. Nobody saw Scrap up top. Would have been a tough gunfight to have for himself, but Ultra now up on map 1.
Snipe out, Scrap just a bit wide. Pred, Sib on the cross. They're going to find first blood on the Kleenex. This should lead to a very quick plant. Hixie once again, though, mid-map. He continues to be a problem that Seattle have no answer for. And as Insight takes care of accuracy, there is no longer a window that Mac can at least safely figure that he's going to plant and get an exit, but he still sticks it anyways in the 2v2. Scrap back in what Hixie's position was, and Mac actually catches them just over the top. Shots from Insight now onto Sibber, good for the 1v1. Mac still holding down low. Stun off the tree, doesn't land. Question marks start to come into Insight as he makes the little Batman play. Oh! Completely destroys Mac off the heady. First 3 shots were good for Mac, but in the end, it does not matter. And even the teammates in Toronto saying, brother, how did you just pull that off?
Those reactions are so warranted out of the Toronto camp. Oh, that's a gunfight that you just should never lose if you're Mac. Wait, what would you reckon? You got like the first 3-4 bullets, and then the Tech 56 comes down, and the headshot multiplier goes burr. Oh no, Seattle, you really felt like that. Everything going for them in that map number 2. Continuous first bloods from accuracy, but it does nothing against the full-on force that is Toronto Ultra.
Look, I mean, look at the numbers advantage that Seattle had. 6 first bloods. How do you throw that away? And I think the answer to it is, even though You were getting a couple of great shots from the openings from Sib with the sniper rifle, or accuracy playing long range with the AR, a couple of nades that also landed. It never felt like in the 4v3s that Seattle had a chance to actually take away the map with their subs. Mac was pretty much committed every single round to just playing for the plant. Fred didn't have much space to really work with through the middle of the map at all. We're on the opposite side. Think about how many rounds Hixie foiled in the early stages of the search by just getting up close to that admin building wall and then deterring either a plant or an exit for Seattle. Really good efficiency when it comes to kills versus the objective for Toronto, who now found themselves 2-0 up proper. And the problem here is it's hotel control next, which, if it's anything to be known about Toronto Respawn, just don't play them on hotel. It's rule number 1.
I mean, again, this is the third time that these two teams have faced each other all year long. This is now the third time that we're going to see hotel control. Has not boded well for Seattle in the past. Hey, maybe it could be a breath of fresh air for Seattle. You got to reverse sweep them, and it starts with a map mode combination that does not look too good for you.
Yeah, big ask, but who knows? We've seen some drama in this series, in this match head-to-head before. We'll probably have at least something to consider coming up next. Don't go far. It's your Monster Energy matchup. More of Toronto and Seattle right after this.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the CDL.
It's the Monster Energy Monster matchup. My whole shift with me proper, but so far, the only monsters in this matchup has been on the Toronto Ultra side, looking clean with it through 2-0 up. And well, the problem here proper is we're going to a hotel control, which is not unfamiliar for these two squads. And well, there's a reason you don't see smiles on the side of Seattle, I think, with that map 3 looming.
Well, you know for sure Sip's sitting there shooting bots. That's what he does. It's a very ritualistic thing that he does at the end of every single map. But yeah, I look, this is not looking good for Seattle Surge. The last 2 times these teams have played, map number 3 has been hotel control. And although that might be suggestive, especially for the stats we have on our screen, that Seattle are good versus Toronto Ultra, it becomes that much more dastardly.
Indeed, it does. These are 2 of the best control teams, and you have a chance to watch both of them square up in Toronto, May 25th to the 28th. Make sure you get those tickets because they're going to sell out fast. And if you missed last year's, let me tell you, Maple Leaf Gardens is awesome for a venue. Can't wait to be back there again. I think last time that's right, they had that barber that like popped up and like, dude, I was talking to him.
He gave you a really good cut.
Ash. Yeah, he was real solid. Here we go, into the action. Toronto on the opening offense, eyes towards B early, but Seattle in a good position to read this, mostly off of Sib watching the cross, and of course Mac in a position to clean things up. Pred trying to get a little bit of a further step in towards bedroom, but denied, and we'll go back to a bit of a reset as Toronto turn their attention towards it.
The hotel might have the highest win percentage as far as offense is concerned when it comes out of control here in the CDL, but it can always set the pace when you win the opening breaks like Seattle Surge. What Ultra look like off the rebound? Well, it's a nice little 3-for-2 trade, goes the kill feed, and that allows Toronto Ultra to actually step foot on the B zone.
Look at that little head fake saying, hey, look at us, Seattle, we're moving towards A. The defense says, all right, we'll rotate, and then nope, never mind. Quick rotation back through mid. Need to get these cleanup kills, though, as the first take is locked, second on the way. Kills coming out of the subs again as Hixie wins the final 1v1. Just has to stay alive, and the incoming nades from Sib. Second tick is pretty much a guarantee if he can get just a little bit of help, but doesn't need it. Just finishes off the kill by himself, nearly gets the turn up top, but the second tick had been locked. Toronto not going to shy away from this play, though. Feel like they've got a step to get back in, and whoa, with these kills, they can stack and put an extra 60 on the board quickly.
Yeah, bull call from inside and co off the respawn. Just come back through middle of the map, get that last segment rather than spawning parallel over towards A and try to split the defenders up from Seattle Surge. That's what you do get when you have a 5-life lead. No entrance inside the pantry. Toronto Ultra looking to flip the map very quickly, already on A.
Nice little hero double from Pred. Keeps this defense in a position of chance to deny this Toronto Ultra hit, which definitely had some legs quickly running in towards A, but the cleanup is there. Ultra enjoying a 3-life lead. Max still holding on towards the site. Nate's going to both archways in front of him. And Seattle even doing a little bit of work through mid here. So as far as how do you hold A, this is a good start for the Surge.
Yeah, no, it's just about trying to find these next few gunfights, especially if you are Mac, how important it is for an A defense here on Hotel. If you can get players inside of the cat room, inside a kitchen, Mac's going to find the first, now 6 and 4. Doesn't expect Scrap to be in the TV corner, so still kills coming through the middle of the map. Toronto Ultra press on.
Oh, big kill from Pred behind. Keeps that Ruggs position in control of Seattle. He's going to have to do a lot more than that, though. First kill good. Second lined up with the Insight, who wants the secondary challenge and will win it. Now the clock once again stalled out at 47 seconds. First tick, double stack for Toronto. Hit coming out from Seattle. A little bit of a team-friendly fire from the trophy system, but accuracy, Max still get the kills they need. Just need to come down to finding Kleenex, and accuracy will put him to rest just before the second tick gets locked. We've got a 6v5.
Trophy systems don't care what side of the team that you're actually on or who threw it. 6v4. Last set of respawns here for Seattle Surge. Gotta play this perfectly.
Seattle just bunkering up around the back. Lots of trust that the ARs can get the job done, but oh, how about that little bait and switch? Scrap takes down accuracy. First member down. 23 seconds on the clock here as well. Sib tested at range. Scrap just kind of playing with them. Needs to follow up. Sib steps away. Has to come back on, though. Second ticket progress is going to be locked. It's him versus the world, and no, not able to get back through the host desk, and that's enough for Seattle to be pushed off and Toronto to get their first offensive win.
Yep, and again, when it comes down to Hotel, we have like somewhere near like an 86% conversion rate offensively here in the CDL, so it's definitely almost what you expect for offensive rounds to come through. If you are Seattle and you're able to win this offense, you want to do it via ticks. That one ended via kills. That could be very promising for a round 5 if we even want defense. Again, it's always a question when it comes down to control, but just relentless for our Toronto Ultra. Seattle Surge more or less won the opening break, but Ultra just relentlessly were striking the middle of the map, never allowing Seattle Surge to really even get past couches.
Well, here's the other kind of issue with dropping that first round. As we saw kind of in the Monster Energy pregame, Toronto, one of the best teams on this map, to hold second in the league defensively at 63%. Seattle taking a more reserved approach here, not really looking for anything at B, just going to drop in Mac on the A zone to stall the clock early, and he's going to find a lot of early success here as his teammates start to clean up kills through shops.
I love this call coming through for the Surge. Don't try to play with your food. If you can find middle of the map, that's great, but go for A first, and then set yourself up for B. Got one player of Inside that's playing all the way on an island, top Valet, playing for exits. And the way that Toronto Ultra are suggesting across the minimap, they're chalking this very early. I mean, they're losing a lot of lives as well. It's a big gunfight to find if you are Scrap, but the trade is there immediately. Third segment well on its way. Surge looking to add 60 seconds with a 3-life lead.
And keep your eye not just on Pred and Bedroom, but the players that are near him. It's Hixie and Insight trying to deny that Bedroom play, but look at all the space through mid. Kleenex doesn't have a chance to contest this. He's just prone behind the bar desk. Mac looking, lurking, slinking his way forward, trying to find contact, and well, his teammates will say there's the go call. Hixie, all the way deep through mid, though, does deny the early attempt for a touch. And with a minute 55 in the clock, Seattle just hold to a 3-life lead, and they've actually got a nice position here to get out of spawn and actually approach this B site quickly.
XC was looking for a play over by the side door outside of Kitchen, but it's allowing Seattle Surge to enforce their numbers. Now 3 players strong on the push. Toronto Ultra spawning out. The stack is in.
Scrap gets the first, reduces this just to a 2-man stack. Second ticket progress on the way. Kleenex eliminates 1 through mid-map. Toronto still trying to work their way through catwalk side. Accuracy watching, but also feeling like he needs to get onto the zone. Oh, and then from behind, Hixie Insight clear things out. Pred not there fully to follow up, and the second ticket progress does not get locked as Toronto start to get their defense back into play.
And now Kleenex, if he wants, he can press a little bit further forward to complete that progress, but holding this positioning is going to be so big. Pred's trying to fly around the back. That's a tough gunfight to take. Premature shots, maybe. Insight wasn't even looking at him, so Pred's flank comes up absolutely dry. The hit from the front comes up even worse. It's just Sib alive over inside of couches. A minute 13 left on the clock. Seattle Surge's life lead has now dwindled down to 2.
Toronto, though, not in a healthy position in terms of how many lives are still left considering the clock. So if you're Seattle, you still feel good about your attempt to just play trades. And so far, so good. Scrap the only defender forward, playing inside of that deep luggage hallway. Loses his teammates from behind. Seattle looking to get on towards the zone. This is going to force hand of Scrap. Deals with the first shots onto Mac clean as he clears the zone completely. 8v11, 45 seconds on the clock.
Now you feel like this is going to be a little last chance hit coming through for Seattle Surge, the one that might just stick the most. And they're spawning all the way over inside a kitchen, which means that you should be aware if you are Seattle Surge that there's an Ultra player around the bedroom side. His name is Scrap. Takes down Sib seemingly for free. Ultra have a demanding control of the map.
Oh, come on! Just not losing any gunfights. Finally, Pred puts to rest the onslaught of Scrap. 6v7, 20 seconds on the clock. Seattle still trying to get all 4 members stacked up for the hit. Kleenex denying in through Valley Hallway. Inside also deters another player around the back. Has to be down to this last 2v2. Hixie holds the front line, and with that, Toronto looking good for the defense. Last couple of members for Seattle not going to get there in time, and Toronto's going to go up 2-0 early in this control.
Control and the series leading 2-0, and again, it almost kind of spells the same exact defeat that we saw there at the Hotel Hardpoint map number 1. Just ARs getting themselves in these very annoying positions. I mean, how are you even supposed to deal with Insight when he's playing on the Godheady here at P4? 13-9 now for Insight. He's just letting them have it and is creating a lot of space for players like Hixie and Kleenex to maneuver across the map. And like you're saying, I mean, Hixie doesn't drop the sexiest KD ratios, but he is just definitely finding a lot of pressure. Any damage is good damage to be followed up by either Kleenex or Scrap in these very annoying positions.
It's just, again, one of those things, man. Toronto fans are, I'm sure, when they saw the series set with 2 respawns on Hotel, smiles had to come through. You just don't want to play Ultra on these map mode combos, and this is why. Their first offense heavy-handed towards B. This second, though, complete isolation and domination as they get on first at A.
And Scrap is just vibing in the atrium. He knows that there's going to be a player for Surge, just trying to flank all the way to the backside of Square. Deals with him scot-free. Middle of the map already being held by Ultra. The A zone captured early. It's a flawless opening. Well, Scrap had to ruin it, but 29 plays up against 25. 2 minutes and 17 seconds on the board. Goodness me.
It's going to feel like deja vu for Seattle. Last time these two teams had played, Scrap and Insight in Control dropped 1.35s and 1.62 KDs. They are looking to possibly improve upon that. Not what you want to see if you're Seattle. Toronto, tons of time to work with, even more lives to continue to expend. As Hixie gets the regen, Dead Silence about to fade. Thinks about a play through mid while the rest of his teammates clear off bedroom, but without Dead Silence, he may hold here until the first hit starts to come through from the front.
Oh, he's actually hitting the gas. He wants to go a little bit further forward. That's an audio cue that I'm sure Accuracy had to have heard for himself. Patience not being exemplified there for Hixie, but where Hixie might have fallen, CleanX is looking to pick up the flank. He's already past Rugs, potentially to come around the backside of Shops.
Oh, Insight just landed on Pred. A little Goomba stop. Pred gets the kill. Turned around, not quite able to turn it into a double. And with that, Toronto's subs able to learn and lurk their way in towards this Seattle defense. The kills come through. Now it's on the stack. Seattle need to hope that these nades can start to land. You've got CleanX blocking mid-desk. First tick is in. 3 members are still on. Last chance for Seattle if they want to try to extend this series, but Toronto continue to find the kills. Insight, last one left, and he will be taken down, but oh, it's punishing. 19 plays, 13, still a ton of time, and Scrap still has some mid-map control.
Yeah, I was about to say Scrap is making it even further expensive. 24 and 15 now for the kid. Catches Mac off guard. I mean, if it wasn't going to be Scrap, it was going to get traded out by Insight. You feel like almost immediately, if not Hixie. Kill still coming through. Toronto Ultra can do no wrong. They're pressing forward towards the zone.
Doubled up on the lives right now are Toronto, and oh, CleanX guns back, and then the Semtex lands, looking to get it on himself. 1v1 with Sim. Shots decent, but not enough to secure the elimination. So we go on again. Third tick of progress, halfway done. Hixie thinking about trying to get early aggressive, but that was denied very quickly and very convincingly by Seattle, who now have some good mid-map control. Hold on a second. This could still be plausible that Seattle can hold. Problem is, there's only 6 lives remaining.
And you have to play so defensively and turn it up on the backside of this B control zone. Deplete what you can. Set yourself up on these God Headies. Make sure that the flank can stay secured. Inside just laying prone, up top lights. Just expecting players to encroach on forward, but we're running out of game clock. Ultra need to go.
Yeah, and CleanX just completely foils the setup by cutting through mid-map. Max double, keeps the defense alive for now, but Hixie's fully healthy. Turns and guns accuracy at range, and that will be the final nail in the coffin. Holy cannoli, are Toronto here to play?
Oh no, well, if it wasn't Insight in the search, it for sure was going to be Hixie in those final moments of the control. Faces of defeat, and rightfully so for the Surge. Pop-off moments for the Ultra. They just absolutely feasted. A disgusting showcase there on Hotel Control. Again, opening rips galore. They lost it initially for their opening offense, but just the returning gunfights, the everlasting assault through the middle of the map. It was all Ultra all the time. Just look at both Scrap and CleanX just picking up on what damage Hixie and Insight were able to lay down. You just could not keep these boys locked out of any sort of power position. 23 and 21 for CleanX, 27 and 18 for Scrap, with 3,600 damage. Like, what?
13 assists, proper. It's not often that we say the assist category, but that's him finding true engagement success on 40 different kills or assists.
That's gross.
That's unreal for only 3 rounds worth of control. And then on top of that, you really want to highlight some unknown and very uncategorized tallies. How about the 7 objective kills for Hixie, getting it done on both sides of the zone?
Yeah, I mean, again, we always talk about Hixie, you and I in particular. We've been casting it for a long time down in Challengers. Again, 16 and 18 isn't the flashiest KD ratio, but damn, is this kid making plays on the map, and it just makes Ultra just fly and quite literally fry almost seamlessly. You got to see it in that map number 1 where Seattle got blown out of the water. We saw some signs of life from Accuracy, was fighting a lot of first bloods in the Embassy Search and Destroy, could not deal with Toronto Ultra, and then it just wraps itself up in a beautiful squirrel-like bow in that Hotel Control. Man, that is just absolutely absurd what we just witnessed. Toronto Ultra definitely here to play in Major 4.
And here's the macro. Both teams, where are we? I mean, it's season 4 for us in Challengers, so we get it. It's a little confusing numbers-wise. But ultimately, when you look at what this means for playoffs, both teams are looking pretty comfortable when it comes down to their chances at locking in a top 8 spot. But I will say, as far as a litmus test, this Toronto team is coming out and making a statement. And with that win, we can confirm they have clinched a position in towards champs. Now it's just down to giving your home crowd one hell of a show. And, well, at the moment, they're looking pretty primed to do that. They're handling Seattle like that. So we'll bring back Puckett to the desk to give us their thoughts after I think all of us were thinking this was going to be a much closer match than it was.
Yeah, I wanted to have you guys around a lot longer, but thank you for the 3 games there. I hold shift and proper. We'll see you later this weekend. Let's break down this series, though. Allie, you called it. Toronto was the favorite coming in. Seattle's surge, though, was your prediction on the day.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
Why are you looking at
What
me like
happened,
that? That was like a bad call. First of all, Toronto Ultra, I guess we're pretending like qualifiers for Major 4 just didn't happen. They've come out on this online stage, and that is a matchup that usually goes a very, very long distance. Toronto looked gross.
All right, and you actually did call Toronto to win this series. You got it right. But who was the star player? Because I felt like this is Toronto back in Major 3 form where everyone's contributing, but there's clearly a few stars on this team.
Yeah, I mean, the AR duo, for one, was incredible. Even in the search and destroy, both putting up 1,100 damage. Just insane. Obviously, scrapping that control, the man just put up inhuman numbers. But inside as well throughout this series, man. That's what happens when you find yourself in advantageous positions on the map, right? When the subs are staying alive, playing their life, the ARs are going to feast. And they had the advantage at every point throughout this entire series, especially on both the respawns. For Seattle, a very tough matchup for them at this point this year, because when you look at Toronto, they're a dominant hotel team. Those are maps that Seattle like to play. So Toronto said, screw it. We're just going to square up with them. You know, we're going to get rid of Mercado here because we can't play it against Toronto. And then what happens? It's hotel, back-to-back, you get clapped. So for Toronto, Chris, I was never truly worried about them. This is a team that was 3-9 in search and destroy in the last split, but we're losing by 1 and 2 rounds. As soon as they start to clutch up in those S&Ds, they win these series and dominate.
I think this is more so a series where we're less looking at like, oh, has Toronto been struggling or whatever. Toronto is still just as good as they were, I feel, around Major 3 times. They just had a hiccup during Major 4. I think this is more of a situation where, like, all right, now what's happening with Seattle? Usually this is a series that is very, very close. All the roles on these squads match up incredibly well. This is a 3-0 dominant win by Toronto Ultra to the Seattle Surge. So now it's you start raising those questions of, like, what are they going to do? Because, yes, they're kind of solidified in the seeding right now, not for sure and guaranteed, but you don't want to be heading into champs or Major 5 like this.
I would just say, like, you know, we were looking at it this morning when we were looking at Seattle's season so far, and it just feels like maybe they've been bamboozling us a little bit, right? Because when you really look at it, they haven't won on LAN since December, and they've had some good online splits, and the search has been good online. Not good on LAN. So for them, maybe it's just all culminating at this very end, realizing like we are not as good as we think we are. And the confidence is now gone after these heartbreaking losses that they've had.
Major 1 was 5 months ago, and we have just 1 month left here in the Call of Duty League season. It's getting spicy, but we have Toronto back on top, just like they were after Major 3. We got to welcome Scrappy back into the winner's circle. My friend!
Let's go. We're back. We're finally back. Finally.
3,600 damage. You dropped an incredible assist throughout that game, but I was watching you just frag out. What's going on in game with the team, especially on the map Hotel?
Yeah, you know, Hotel is probably one of our best maps. It probably is our best map. You know, anyone we play, we're super confident on. So if people want to play it against us, we're ready for it. And yeah, it's just the best map in the game. It actually makes sense to play. And yeah, it's a fun map.
Congratulations. I mean, this is usually a series that we all try to strap in for, but you guys made it a very, very quick one. Scrap, what was the conversation, if you kind of let us in behind the scenes with the team, after Major 4, after the qualifiers going 1-4, after starting an elimination bracket, getting knocked out? Talk to us what it was, the game plan was heading into Major 5.
Yeah, so, you know, we had a rough S&D stage, I would say. You know, we went like, I don't know, 3-9 or whatever the numbers were. I can't really tell you. So we knew that we had to fix up on that. We also knew that, you know, we can't come into our home major in losers. We're not going to start in losers. And so we're just coming hard for the next remaining 5 matches of the year. And, you know, led to an absolute ass whooping, so.
I love that, and that leads me into my next question, Scrap. Ooh. Some would say that you lost your edge after you won the championship. You know, you didn't talk crap in that post interview, very humble of you. I haven't heard a lot of trash talk, honestly, and I just heard it right there. For you, why has the trash talk been gone, and is there anything you want to say to the rest of the league?
Yeah, you know, when you're losing, there's not too much to say. You really can't say anything. So, you know, we had a really rough stage, but, you know, we didn't really play any good teams either until FaZe at Major 4. So there's really nothing to talk about that stage. But, you know, for the rest of the league upcoming, you know, I'm back in full force. Everyone's getting it. I'm coming for everyone.
I love that. And I have one follow-up to that. After you won a championship, was there like a mentality shift or anything like that? Because obviously it's the ultimate goal. To become a pro, you accomplish that. And then to win a major championship, you did that in MVP form. So for you, how did you deal with winning that and then the come down that was stage 4?
You know, if I'm going to be completely like truthful and honest, you know, we played in front of the Optic fans, you know, thousands of people, probably the biggest crowd there is this year and probably will be in any event. So like we kind of get that like mind space of like this major, yeah, it's still a major, but you know, like playing in front of the fans is different when there's no fans, there's no walkouts. It's just a different vibe. So I think we were a bit thrown off at Major 4. But you know, it's in the past and you can only look ahead.
All right, well, as we look ahead, Toronto has 4 games remaining in the qualifier, and you're starting off 1-0. Do you finish with a perfect record?
I don't know. I don't really like syncing perfect records. I don't think a team has one going 5-0 yet, so I don't know.
Smart man right there. That's Scrap. Pay attention. You'll be hearing his name a lot, I have a feeling, as we head to his home territory. Toronto will be the host of Major 5. Let's take a look at our scuff play of the game, though. Ali, you called this one out. Insight was one of our key players to watch on the AR, and this one blew our socks off.
I mean, there's just something about Insight versus Toronto for some reason. Last time they matched up, he had 1.23 overall, and now he has the play of the game. It's obviously the 3 kills to close it out.
Mac got slammed.
From the top ropes, Insight comes flying in to finish it for the defuse as well to win the search and destroy.
Dude, he just got like...
I love the Scrap reactor. God damn, son, Mac. Oh, obliterated. Well, Seattle Surge are still reeling, and we have a number of teams who are going to be licking their wounds after a brutal day 1 here of the qualifier. One of them is LAG, a hot 3-0 handed to them by Abizi and Atlanta FaZe. Let's walk through our first match of the day. Ali, it was done before our Starbucks arrived.
There's not a whole lot to walk through, to be honest. I think, you know, I loved at the beginning of the season where we could be like, oh, these bottom teams, you know, they aren't really that far at the bottom. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think LAG is one of those teams you can most likely sign off as being a loss when they head into these series.
I'm holding up a number, Ali. How many?
That's 9.
That's how many series in a row that LAG have lost.
9 in a row.
9 in a row. Now, granted, the last match they had against FaZe did go to a game 5. In this one, that was not the story. I mean, we're going to see some performances like this in this stage, I feel like, because these top teams is no longer like test your map pool period. It's like lock it in and get ready for these last 2 events. You have to have momentum going forward. And for Atlanta FaZe, clearly they had that chip on their shoulder today as everybody was frying. I mean, out the gates, Arcedes was popping off. And you think he's going to continue that? No. Slasher answers back immediately with a 7 streak, like kind of saying like, no, I'm nasty, I'm here, right? And then they get that win. And from then, you've beaten LAG on the one map they had hope on. You steamrolled them through the rest of the series.
LAG, they had the Challengers players put into the starting lineup. Since then, not a ton of success on their season. They have just 4 games remaining. Another squad, though, with 4 games remaining is Vegas Legion. And these are 4 critical games because you took Optic the distance, but you didn't get the 10 points tonight, Ali. They've got the 2nd hardest strength of schedule. It's an uphill battle from the Legion from here on out.
Yeah, and this was a trap game. Like, Optic Texas were testing their map pool at those maps 1 and 2, which I respect the ego towel, but Vegas obviously tried to capitalize on that, stealing that first hard point, and they even won a control, but at what cost? Because they lost both of the search and destroys in this series to an Optic Texas, who, although a strong respawn team, that was the one map and mode, that one game mode that Vegas Legion has been shining through in the entire season. So the fact that they are short-stepping on that now against one of these top teams, it's like you don't want to settle for mediocre, you don't want to settle for above average, so Vegas Legion still have a very, very long tail to chase.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. It's hard to like say what is the most important aspect to like pull from this series. I mean, for Optic, if you're an Optic fan, to be a championship contender, you have to be good at control, and they lose it to Vegas, so that's a bit concerning. But for Vegas, still some matches ahead, right? You can see right now they're still on the outside looking in. Got to get some dubs.
This is getting crazy. Ultra just jumped past LA Thieves for the number 3 seat. They're back into the top 3 as we have 4 teams now over 250. We think that's the magic number if you want to make it to champs. Ultra, the latest squad to lock in. Let's take a look, though, at all 8 of the teams playing tomorrow. We got 4 matches coming your way. Allie, I said 8, but there's only 7. Rocker get a double down. They're taking on London and Boston Breach in front of their home crowd.
Yeah, it'll be in front of their home crowd. We can see if they can start 2-0 in qualifiers again by holding their little home stand. Shout out to London Royal Ravens and Boston Breach for taking part in it.
Listen, if I'm London or Boston Breach, I'm just like flying all my fans out on my free plane tickets, free hotels. Get over there and talk some trash. That should be a really fun time.
They popped off in front of their fans last time. We'll see if they can start it off bright and early. Matches kick off at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're live, though, at 2:45, so set your alarms, and we'll see you on Headquarters.
Pick up where I left off, it ain't over. Whole squad on the gravel, all I know, I'm a soldier, stand up, add attention, shake it off, tell us swift, forget the trip, back to mission, no surrender, just commitment, I see visions, eyes closed, shut, heart monitor, going crazy, medics panicking, woke up from the stretcher in the reds, removing the bandages, hopes up, I'ma catch whoever made me suffer these damages, power level breaking screens, they like, way, look at them scampering, rejuvenated, reborn, I'm basically the man again, made the world stand still, they amazed, frozen like mannequins. Kick the door off the hinges, make waves. Someone needs banishing. They ain't think I was able, but I'm came when it come to savageness. I'ma finish it. I'ma finish it. Still got a little fight. I'ma finish it. Little this, little that. Everyone pulling triggers full of max. Talking PCs cause they full of that. Ain't really G's, they GNAPs, they really just next. Scratch them off, power balls. Look at them spinning, they really spin offs. Getting me dizzy, give me a headache, maybe wanna tear my head off. I could really use the Tylenol. Candy rappers talking good and plenty. It's really too many to mention, but no, I'm tired of y'all. Suck to infinity, you could never be my enemy. You make me look good, I should be hiring y'all. I'm reborn, I'm basically the man again. Made the world stand still, they amazed. Frozen like mannequins. Kick the door off the hinges, make waves. Someone needs banishing. They ain't think I was able, but I'm came when it come to savageness. I'ma finish it. I'ma finish it. Still got a little fight. I'ma finish it. I'ma finish it.
Money, dead.
Money, dead.
I'm one shot. I'm point.
Oh my god. One more shot.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Ghosty.
Push you. What's the dump, dead? Push you,
Stay alive.
Nice. I'm going top money. I'm dead. Rugs left kid on me. Help me.
Rugs.